Hurricane Elsa is racing through the Caribbean Sea. Good evening, I'm Mike Naso with this special midnight update on Hurricane Elsa. Made landfall in the Windward Islands on Friday as a Category 1 hurricane, and it's a little disorganized tonight, but still packed a wall up in areas of Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and it looks like it will eventually re-intensify and move generally in the direction of Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba, and then eventually the United States. So let's get the latest on Hurricane Elsa as of 11 p.m. from the National Hurricane Center. The hurricane was at 14.8 north, 66.3 west. Winds were 80, so it weakened a little bit. It strengthened last night to 85, and then it was weakened a little bit in the wee hours of the morning. It's going back and forth, fluctuating. It's moving west-northwest, still 29 miles per hour. This should be slowing down over the next 24 to 36 hours, which could allow it to become more vertically stacked and better organized. And you can see that forecast takes it very near the coastline there of Haiti in about, say, 18 to 24 hours by Saturday night, and then by Sunday night near Cuba. And the reason it weakens from a hurricane is because it gets caught up over Cuba. But again, as Stacy Stewart at the Hurricane Center noted, if it stays over water and it doesn't make landfall, it could strengthen far beyond a Category 1 hurricane, and we'd have big problems there. I did want to note we do have a hurricane warning for the south coast of the Dominican Republic to the border with Haiti, the southern portion of Haiti from Port-au-Prince to the southern border with the Dominican Republic, and a hurricane warning for Jamaica. We also have a tropical storm warning for the coast of Haiti, the south coast of the Dominican Republic, a hurricane watch for Cuba, areas there in eastern Cuba, and a tropical storm watch is now in effect for Cayman, Brac, and Little Cayman in the Cayman Islands. So again, this thing's progressing fast. So by Sunday night, we could be dealing with a hurricane near the Cayman Islands. So if you guys are there, or if any vacationers, you guys want to start to go on the alert right now and follow what local officials tell you as the hurricane draws closer. Here's the satellite imagery, and you can see the infrared. It is not looking half as impressive as it did earlier. It's definitely entrained some dry air and is dealing with a little bit of wind shear, and its fast motion is really its problem. If it slows down, it could really have an opportunity to strengthen. Right now, you can see it still bursting there, and the Air Force was zigzagging around it, finding pressures in the 990s, which is lower than what it was 12 hours ago, and hurricane force winds, but not as strong as it was. So it's still a hurricane, but it's definitely more disorganized. But once it slows down, as the Hurricane Center said, we should see re-intensification. There's another look at it. Again, it looks like the center of the hurricane is somewhere in this general region, so it's definitely a little bit dry here on the northwest side of the circulation. It needs to mix that out, do some bursting, and strengthen beyond that. I remember Hurricane Emily back in '05 moved through Grenada and areas here of the southern Windward Islands, and it weakened from a Category 4 to a Category 2, and then it re-intensified after 70 west. So sometimes once they get past this line, it's much more favorable, and it's much more unfavorable in this area. So we'll see if it can break through this and strengthen. As of right now, still a hurricane. The computer models are starting to really get tight here. We know it's going to be very near Haiti, and kind of, if the hurricane threads the needle, as Stacy Stewart said, and stays over water, it could be a stronger storm. So it's very complicated, because if it moves over Haiti and it moves over areas of Cuba and it comes out, it's going to be much, much weaker by the time it would get to Florida. However, if Elsa takes a track like this and stays south of Haiti, north of Jamaica, south of Cuba, and crosses Cuba quickly, it could be a stronger system when it gets over the Florida Straits or the Gulf, and it could be a stronger hurricane, even a more dangerous hurricane. So we're going to watch all of these factors over the next 24, 36, 48 hours, and we should get a better idea. Once we get past 72, 73 west here, we should know more about where Elsa will go and how strong she'll be. This is the H-Wharf hurricane model, which performed rather well with some of the storms last year. You can see it initializes it as a hurricane, a Category 1, and then if you watch, it weakens it to a tropical storm. That is possible. But then it re-strengthens back into a hurricane, goes just south of Haiti as a major hurricane, a Category 4 hurricane on 4th of July between Jamaica and eastern Cuba, very similar to Hurricane Dennis back in 2005, and then you can see it slams into Cuba, rides right up the spine, weakens to a tropical storm, and then strengthens back into a powerful hurricane, at least a Category 1, and makes landfall there in western Florida. That is a possibility, like the Hurricane Center said, and so that's why if you're in Florida, if you're in the Keys, I want you guys to start overlooking what you would do and your plans and all the bottled water and the flashlights and the batteries. If you have a generator, never use it inside the house. Carbon monoxide will kill. And just start to look at what you might do if Hurricane Elsa makes its way towards you. We're going to be keeping an eye on her the next couple of days. Look at that wind shear. Remember I showed you like 2 days ago it was all heavy wind shear? Not anymore. Very favorable low wind shear ahead of it and very hot Caribbean waters. So as long as it stays away from land, and if she slows down, she could strengthen into a stronger hurricane. Here's the other view of it. This is an anticyclone right there, and that's basically high pressure aloft, which flows clockwise. So when you get a counterclockwise hurricane spinning underneath it, that gives it ventilation. And you can see that, as Stacy Stewart from the Hurricane Center mentioned in a really good 11 p.m. discussion, once this system gets underneath it, it can have a much better defined environment. So we could be dealing with a pretty good upper-level environment south of Cuba, so long as the center stays away from land over the water. So in the final analysis, there's our hurricane, looking a bit more ragged tonight. It blew through the Windward Islands. St. Lucia and St. Vincent and Barbados got a fierce battering. And now we're going to watch areas here of Haiti, and then right on the edge of the screen here, Jamaica and eastern Cuba are next in the line of attack. And we're going to wait and see what happens over the next 24 hours as far as intensity. If it slows down, which it should slowly re-intensify into a stronger hurricane. And it's just a wait-and-see game at this point in time. So that'll do it on Hurricane Elsa. I'm Mike Naso with the latest. Stay tuned to our YouTube page, and I'll have continuing coverage over the next couple of days as Hurricane Elsa, a July hurricane, moves through the Caribbean